Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. We're here today with the Warriors of Chaos, and being very heretical, facing off against the Empire and Karl Franz himself. So let's get to the builds. I've got Sigvald on the ground here, because I didn't want to get sniped. He's backed up by the Mirror Guard and the Weird Spawn. We've got a front line of Chaos Marauders, a second line of Chaos Warriors, of course the Mirror Guard being one of them. Got a Shadows Sorcerer here, Chaos Sorcerer, Lore of Shadows, 2 Feral Manticores up in the air, of course, as well as 4 Marauder Horsemen Throwing Axes, 2 over there, and 2 having a nice little powwow in the woods here. As for my opponent, he's got 2 Pistoliers, much approved, Karl Franz up in the air, with the Jade Wizard also up in the air. He's got these Swordsmen here in a very interesting deployment, which you'll see there's a specific reason for that, and some Handgunners as well. Now, the deployment makes sense, right? Halberdiers, we've also got some Spearmen, a couple of regular Demigryph Knights, so no Halberds, just the shielded variant, which you don't see too often, but I don't know. I have some thoughts on these guys. I'll talk about that more in just a little bit. But we've got these Marauder Horsemen in here trying to throw some axes, just do some general disruption. You can see the Pistoliers are coming over to counter-skirmish, which is a great play. Meanwhile, my force is just slowly making their way across the field. Not really too much of a rush to try and disrupt here, as my opponent doesn't have any artillery or anything, so we can kind of take our time in the advance here. Now, this is not going to be necessarily a great engagement for me. Marauder Horseman, the throwing axe variant specifically, does have a missile block chance, but obviously I have to be facing the Pistoliers to be able to get that, and Pistoliers being 100 points cheaper are going to trade pretty cost efficiently into those Marauder Horsemen. Granted, I've got better melee stats, so I can just kind of charge here, but my opponent doing very well, screening out with those Spearmen there. And the rush is just about into range here. You can see the handguns starting to open up. Thankfully, I've got my Marauders in front here, so they are going to eat most of the bullets and save my more elite Chaos Warriors for the actual fighting. Sorcerer has been forgotten for the moment, but we'll get him up there in just a minute. Feral Manticore is moving in here, and my idea was if we could double team Karl up in the air with Enfeebling Foe active, then maybe we could get a similar result as to what happened with the Handmaidens the other day. But anyway, this engagement's going to play out here, and you'll see now why this deployment is the way that it is. So the unit will kind of come in and wrap around, and then I guess the idea is gives the handgunners an open shot. Unfortunately, my opponent's deployed a little bit too tight here. These handgunners need to be further back from the swordsmen. He tried to kind of counter-charge a little bit there, but it didn't end up working out super well. You can see these Chaos Warriors, even though the Marauders, it worked against the Marauders. I mean, granted, they're just Marauders, but these Chaos Warriors are going to be able to just force their way through and get in on the handgunners and start to disrupt them. Meanwhile, on the rest of the battlefield, you can see I'm just pulling away some Demigryph Knights with some throwing axes over here. And, yeah, up in the air, we did get the Enfeebling Foe off on Karl, and he did take some pretty good damage from the 2 Manticores, which, I mean, these 2 Manticores together are still significantly cheaper than Karl, so that's actually a really cost-effective engagement for me. And finally, the Weird Spawn and the Slanesh boys getting in here. We also drop a really nice Penumbral Pendulum to side through some of those state troops, and you can see the handgunners just really can't get online to get a good shot going. There are a few secured here, but the other units getting bogged down, and the Empire state troop swordsmen getting bogged down as well. Karl's still healthy though, and he just took a regrowth to get even healthier, so he's now going to get more vigor and HP. Probably get to finish off this Feral Manticore here. Thankfully for me though, again, the Marauder Horsemen do have better stats than Pistoliers in melee, so we were able to finish off both units of Pistoliers in melee with the Marauder Horsemen, and now we can use them to make sure that these Empire infantry skirmishers can't get a clear shot, as they are doing right now. Getting some really nice shots into those Marauder Horsemen. Again, though, we do have a missile block chance. Meanwhile, the Demigryph Knights are in the center. They're doing some really good damage here, as are the grenade launchers. The grenade launchers don't do the most AP in the world, but thankfully for me, this is actually a really bad engagement for the Demigryph Knights. Between the Weird Spawn sundering their armor and the good defensive stats of the Mirror Guard and these other Chaos Warriors here, they're just really going to struggle. I mean, 95 armor still, even with the armor sundering, but it certainly does help. And another Penumbral Pendulum just to continue cutting down these lighter state troops, and I'm feeling pretty confident about my chances at this point. Karl's going to take one final dive here to try and finish off Sigvald, but this is literally exactly why I bring Sigvald, is so that I can't get sniped. I mean, Big Bird is arguably more competitive here if you have the micro for it, but Enfeebling Foe now gets dropped on Karl. He's getting his armor sundered by the Weird Spawn as well, so he's down to 70. And Sigvald's actually a good enough duelist that he'll do okay even fighting Monster Lords. Goes for a bit of a ride right there, of course, as soon as I'm saying that he's doing well. But believe it or not, like, once he gets in and starts getting some attacks, if he could, he will actually be able to do some pretty solid damage to Carl. And even though he's getting knocked around a lot, he's not taking any damage. I mean, that 60 melee defense will carry him pretty well there. And you can see now when he starts to finally get attacks on Carl, he definitely can do some good damage. Little side thrust there with his little fancy little rapier. And yeah, at this point the Demigryph Knights are getting regrowth. They're going to continue to stand and fight here for a while, but they don't have enough supporting infantry here. They're taking way too many hits from these different Chaos Warriors, and the Weird Spawn have been very much MVPs here as well. Marauder Horsemen continuing to just ride down handgunners and other routing units in the back line. Again, just making sure that they can't get set for a good firing arc. Both Manticores at this point are going to get finished off, but I mean, they've done so much damage to Carl, just help support those engagements, like even that nice little chunk right there. This Manticore is definitely going to die, but even just doing a little bit of damage here and there to Carl is absolutely cost effective. At only 800 points, it's super cost effective actually. It would be what, three Manticores to about equal Carl in cost. 3 Feral Manticores, so yeah. As for the shielded demis, we'll talk about them more a little bit in a minute. Interesting to see them used here. I guess my opponent was going for sort of a dual anti-infantry, anti-large type role for them. Honestly though, the shielded demis, they just really don't have a role in my opinion because of their stats. Like, yeah, we'll talk about it more in just a minute, but at this point, Carl and his Jade Wizard are going to admit defeat, and yeah, interesting build for my opponent there. I've seen some people use that style of deployment before to reasonably good effect. Generally, it doesn't work super well in like high-end multiplayer, but like Pharaoh War, rest his soul wherever he's at in the desert. I did see use similar type strategies before with the Empire, using like handgunners and stuff, but that was, granted, that was quite a long time ago. And yeah, even still, I mean, the build outside of the Demigryph Knights, I think this build is pretty solid. Personally, I would not take the Jade Wizard up in the air. I really don't think, I mean, I get why he did, because Carl can win air supremacy pretty decisively, and then you don't really have to worry about getting killed as much with the Jade Wizard. Granted, you still have to worry about even like Marauder Horseman missiles, but I sort of understand that. At the same time though, with Carl and with Knights and Pistoliers and stuff, you can usually win mobility advantage, and at that point your Jade Wizard, if he's on a horse, you know, he's not going to get touched anyway if you're on top of your micro, so I think you can just save some points there and take him on a horse. In fact, rather than going too deep into my build, I mean, it's pretty much self-explanatory. The Weird Spawn definitely did some heavy lifting. Chaos Warrior was able to get in there and mix it up. Let's just go straight to the post-battle screen, and I can kind of talk about some Empire stuff, because that's what I actually want to do, right? So yeah, we've got the Empire here. Carl up in the air, definitely agree with. The Jade Wizard, like I said, just take him on a horse. It's not really worth the extra 300 points. I mean, that's like an extra unit of Spearmen, right? I'd rather have an extra unit of Spearmen than have him up in the air. So I would do that. The shielded demis, so if we have a look here, they do have better melee stats in terms of their attack and defense, just all around, but on paper, Demigryph Knights actually, for the cost, have pretty terrible melee attack and defense if you really think about it, especially if you compare them to other elite cavalry. Like, let's just go ahead and have a look here. I know Dragon Princes are high elves, so they are a little bit different, but 36 and 30, I guess that's actually not that much better. Maybe I'm completely wrong here. Yeah, it's actually significantly worse. I mean, granted, they have Martial Mastery, which buffs that up very significantly to where they'd be way above the Demigryph Knights, but I guess once that Martial Mastery wears off, they're actually below. Interesting. We were learning together, I guess. Let's see here. Bretonia, obviously, Grail Knights are definitely cream of the crop as well. 38 and 30, again, still pretty similar stats, but the thing about Grail Knights is they have 45 models, right? They have not that much lower weapon strength and a way better charge bonus, meaning their total DPS output is just going to be higher than Demigryph Knights. And that's really the issue with the Demigryph Knights with halberds makes sense because you're hunting monsters. The anti-large bonus gives you a significantly better melee attack against large units. 25 bonus versus large is huge, putting you up to, what, 57 against large targets? Whereas these guys, 38, I mean, with Hammer of Sigmar, with Reikland Runefang, you can definitely juice up their melee attack. Empire does have reasonably good access to melee attack, but the main issue is that, I don't know, I'd have to look at Total War Warhammer Stats.net to see how many splash attacks these guys have, but I want to say they have only one splash attack target, in which case, like, a unit of even Reichsguard is just going to have more DPS output on the charge because they have more models, right? They're able to do more attacks in a given amount of time. They have significantly more models, right? So Demigryph Knights, I think the Lance and Shield variant, they should give splash attacks, so they're better against infantry. I don't know. What do you guys think? Have you used the Lance and Shield Demi variant very much? They do have a better charge bonus, and they do have a little bit of a missile block chance, which I guess is something. I mean, it's not nothing. What, 30%? Yeah, see, it's not that great. I think even if they were to bump that up to 35% missile block chance, maybe give them some splash attack, I don't know. What do you guys think? What could they do to change regular Demigryph Knights to be a little bit better? But anyway, since that was kind of depressing to watch the Empire lose, let's jump into one more replay here. And this time, I will be taking Karl Franz, and we're going to be facing off against the foul Greenskins. We've got Franz and a tank, just to cheer you guys up. I know you're probably a little sad after that last game, so here we go. Franz, Jade Wizard, and as I said, Jade Wizard's going to be on the ground to save on points. We've got plenty of Empire Knights, Pistoliers as well. The Steam Tank is another extra terror option against the Greenskins, and although Greenskins do have some pretty good tools of dealing with the Steam Tank, it also can be decent here as well. Going to start unleashing shots here for my opponent's build. He's got Azag up in the air. We've got some Spider Riders here, a couple of Archer Cav, both the Regiments of Renown, very good choices against the Empire. We've got a Goblin Big Boss here. Yeah, so regular Savages in the front line, interesting. We've got some Black Orcs and some Trolls as well. Error Boys, any Rusty Errors? I'm not sure. Probably somewhere around here, but anyway, we're going to get a big old pitched Cav engagement in the front. I'm, of course, going to immediately sacrifice some of my Pistoliers because I never don't sacrifice my Pistoliers. Azag decides to dive down in, so I'm going to go ahead and pull Franz back up in the air, as this is not the best engagement for me at the moment, but we're going to go ahead, pull back around, and just hunt Azag as soon as he gets back up in the air. Since he didn't actually get back up in the air, that's going to force Karl to the ground here, but yeah, you can see Azag took a hit there. The Reichsguard were able to come in here, the Empire Knights able to come in here and get a rear charge on these Goblin Spider Riders, so a big terror route from Karl from that rear charge is able to see them away for the moment, so a little bit of a wash in terms of that engagement by points. We lost some Pistoliers for some Spider Riders, and it was probably just about even at the end of the day, but you can see I'm kind of pulling back here as just reforming generally to try and delay the frontline engagement, as Azag takes a really risky dive here, and he's going to get now pinned in by Empire Knights and Karl. The Empire Knights, of course, having been hidden in the jungle here and just now being discovered. Of course, Karl's going to absolutely can him, and just for good measure, to make sure Azag can't escape, we're going to block him up with the Steam Tank as well. Heavy mass of the Steam Tank means that, yeah, this is going to be the end for Azag, and you can see immediately the balance of power starts to shift. Needless to say, that is not going to be great for the Greenskins. Granted, we did take some good damage on these Empire Knights, but immediately Savage Orcs terror route. These Trolls are going to start to have leadership issues, and the Black Orcs are really the main thing I have to worry about at this point. We do have some Orc Archers in the back as well, and Orc Air Boys, as some of you may know, some of you may not, they have really good AP values. 6 AP per shot for a non-AP quote-unquote archer unit is really, really good, so I'm going to have to be a bit careful with Karl that I don't get caught out by them. But other than that, I can just keep cycle charging with Karl and the Knights here. So let's keep it in cinematic mode as we watch some of these State Troop Spearmen. They're going to fight off these Trolls, get absolutely kicked to pieces. But hey, they're holding the line. Swordsmen and Spearmen kind of fighting in a mixed formation here. Black Orcs will absolutely cut them to pieces, but Karl and the Knights, the Steam Tank, providing some Overwatch fire from the high ground there, takes out some Orcs, and yeah, super cool cinematic scene right here. Man, this game is just so beautiful. We've got these Orc Air Boys up on the hill in the background, State Troops duking it out in the foreground, Empire Knights charging through onto some Spider Riders here, and man, I'm just going to soak it in at this point. It's, like I said, it's pretty clearly going to be a victory for the Empire, but just figured you guys would want some sweet Karl and Steam Tank action. And yeah, at this point the Orc Air boys are in a bit of a pickle. They're going to try and pull back, so they actually would do okay against the swordsmen, all things considered, but it's still not going to be a great engagement for them. Meanwhile, you can see the Black Orcs are pretty steadily cutting through my infantry and even the Empire Knights over on this side, but Karl is just so much to deal with, and I mean, the steam tank, of course, by the time they finally get into contact with it, it's just going to start to run them over with its anti-infantry AP. So yeah, fun stuff. Nice rumble in the jungle. Karl Franz just absolutely wrecking on some Greenskins, which is what we all like to see, right? Empire Knights charging in with the tank in the background. Oh man, just love this game. I can't say it enough, guys. It's super awesome, and a huge thanks to all of you as well. It's right around this time is sort of my 2-year anniversary on YouTube. I want to say I put out my first YouTube video like the 24th or something of 2017, so just want to say a huge thanks to all of you guys who have been with me since the beginning. I know there's a handful of you who have been with me straight up from the beginning, but for those of you who have joined the ride along the way, thank you for all being here. It's been an absolute pleasure. I have loved doing this. Like, it has really been just a dream come true in so many different ways, and getting to meet and interact with all of you is definitely one of the highlights. I mean, don't get me wrong, the fact that the game is gorgeous and well made and reasonably well balanced, all things considered, I mean, the community is really what makes this just the next level. It's been awesome interacting with all of you and getting to know different people all around the world, watching different players play with different play styles, and just constantly learning, and I don't know, it's just a really awesome community we have here, guys. So big thanks to all of you for being a part of it, and yeah, we're just gonna continue to watch Karl rip and tear these Orc Air boys to absolute shreds as we've got some trolls charging in the background. What are they charging, the steam tank? Oh man, a little bit of an awkward bumper car situation with the trees here, but Reiksguard on the low ground. Sorry, not Reiksguard, Empire Knights. I wish they were Reiksguard. They're covered in enough blood at this point to practically be Reiksguard, but they're going to get a nice charge in here. And that's it. Fun stuff. So yeah, happy anniversary to all of you. That sounds kind of weird to say, but big thanks for being here with me along for the ride. It's going to be continue to be a wild ride from here on out. I've got some plans for some future content. You should start to see, like, the tier list, some more edited content, some more highly produced type of content. Of course, I'm still going to be getting these quick and dirty battle replays every day, just because I know a lot of you guys really like the consistent upload schedule, and yeah, I will continue to provide. So yeah, some sweet steam tank action to wish you all happy anniversary. Thank you all so much for being here. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and click that subscribe button, hit like. You'll see lots and lots of awesome battle replays like the ones we saw today. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.